Most people quit not because they are incapable, but because they are impatient. They start something new, look around for results, and when nothing shows up fast enough, they walk away. This speech is not for people chasing quick wins. This is for those who are ready to build something real. If you stay till the end, you'll understand why focusing on results is the fastest way to destroy your potential, and why obsession with the work changes everything. Stop staring at the finish line. Stop counting likes, money, applause, and validation. The moment you measure your worth by results, you give away your power. Results come late. Discipline shows up early. The secret is simple but uncomfortable. Fall in love with the work itself. When you wake up every day committed to the process, reading, practicing, improving, refining, you become dangerous. Not because you're lucky, but because you're prepared. Results don't need to be chased. They are attracted by consistent effort. The farmer doesn't pull the crops out of the soil to check growth. He waters, waits, and trusts the process. Obsession with results creates anxiety. Obsession with work creates confidence. When your focus is on what you can control, your effort, your habits, your standards, pressure disappears. You stop asking, is it working, and start saying, I'm working. Every master was once invisible. Every success story began with long stretches of silence. The difference between those who win and those who quit is not talent. It's patience paired with discipline. If you give everything to the work will eventually give everything back. Transformation begins. Most people believe success comes from sudden breakthroughs, but the truth is far less dramatic and far more powerful. It comes from showing up every single day, especially on the days you don't feel like it. Discipline is not glamorous. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't give you instant rewards, but over time it creates a force so strong that resistance becomes impossible. When you commit to daily discipline, you remove emotion from the equation. You stop negotiating with your mood. You don't wait for motivation because motivation is unreliable. Discipline says, no matter how I feel, I do the work. And that simple decision, repeated daily, compounds into momentum. At first, progress feels slow. Effort feels heavy. Doubt whispers that nothing is changing. But momentum is being built silently, beneath the surface. Daily discipline rewires your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who does. Confidence is not born from results. It is born from keeping promises to yourself. Every day you follow through, you strengthen trust in your own ability. That trust becomes self-belief, and self-belief fuels consistency even further. Momentum doesn't arrive suddenly. It grows. One disciplined action makes the next easier. What once required willpower becomes routine. What once felt hard becomes automatic. This is the power of obsession with discipline. It turns effort into habit and habit into identity. At that point, stopping feels harder than continuing. People who lack discipline rely on external pressure. People who master discipline create internal drive. They don't need someone watching. They don't need applause. They don't need immediate proof. They understand that today's work is laying bricks for a future they cannot yet see. And that understanding keeps them moving forward while others fall back. Unstoppable momentum is not about speed, it's about direction. You don't need massive actions, you need consistent ones. Small, disciplined steps taken daily will outperform occasional bursts of intense effort every time. Discipline keeps you aligned when distractions multiply. It keeps you grounded when results are delayed. It keeps you steady when others panic. There will be days when discipline feels pointless, days when progress is invisible, days when quitting feels logical. Those are the most important days. Because discipline practiced without reward builds character, and character is what carries you through uncertainty. Anyone can work when results are visible. Very few can work when only faith remains. When daily discipline becomes your obsession, excuses lose their power. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You learn to execute in imperfect situations. And that skill alone separates high achievers from everyone else. Life will never be ideal, but disciplined people don't need ideal. They need commitment. Momentum created by discipline does more than move you forward. It protects you. It shields you from burnout, inconsistency, and self-doubt. You don't burn out from doing too much. You burn out from doing too little of what matters consistently. Discipline creates rhythm, and rhythm creates sustainability. In the end, unstoppable momentum is not something you chase. It's something you earn. You earn it by honoring your routine, respecting your process, and committing to the work when no one is watching. Obsess over daily discipline, and one day you'll realize you are no longer chasing success. Success is trying to keep up with you. Results are a byproduct, not the target, and understanding this single principle can completely change the way you approach work, growth, and success. Most people aim directly at results. They chase numbers, titles, money, recognition, and applause. But the moment results become the target, pressure replaces clarity, fear replaces focus, and frustration replaces patience. When results are the goal, every delay feels like failure, and every obstacle feels personal. This mindset doesn't produce excellence. It produces anxiety. When you shift your focus away from results and toward the process, something powerful happens. You regain control. Results live in the future, and the future is uncertain. The process lives in the present, and the present is where power exists. You can't control outcomes, but you can control effort. You can't guarantee success, but you can guarantee preparation. The people who win long-term understand this distinction deeply. Chasing results often leads to shortcuts. People rush, compromise standards, and abandon fundamentals just to see quick progress. But shortcuts create fragile success. It looks impressive for a moment, then collapses under pressure. When you commit to the process instead, you build something solid. You develop skills, discipline, and resilience. These qualities don't disappear when circumstances change. They grow stronger. Focusing on the process removes fear of failure. If your only mission is to do the work correctly, failure loses its sting. Mistakes become feedback. Delays become lessons. Setbacks become training. You stop asking, "Did I win?" and start asking, "Did I improve?" That shift keeps you moving forward even when results are slow or unclear. Results-focused thinking also creates comparison. When you measure yourself by outcomes, you constantly look sideways. You judge your progress against others, forgetting that everyone is running a different race. Process-focused thinking turns your attention inward. You compete with who you were yesterday, not with someone else's highlight reel. That creates peace, clarity, and sustainable growth. The greatest performers in any field are obsessed with execution, not applause. They train when no one is watching. They refine details others ignore. They show up on ordinary days with extraordinary commitment. They understand that if they master the process, results have no choice but to appear. This is not optimism, it's mathematics. Consistent effort over time produces predictable outcomes. When results become the target, motivation rises and falls with performance. One good outcome creates excitement. One bad outcome creates doubt. This emotional roller coaster drains energy and destroys consistency. When the process becomes the target, motivation stabilizes. You work because it's who you are, not because of what you expect to receive. That stability is what allows long-term excellence. There is also freedom in letting go of results. Freedom from pressure, freedom from impatience, freedom from self-judgment. You stop needing immediate proof to continue. You trust the unseen progress being built daily. This trust is not blind, it is earned through disciplined action. The more you show up, the stronger that trust becomes. In time, results arrive quietly, not as a surprise, but as a confirmation. You look back and realize that what once felt impossible became inevitable. Not because you chased it, but because you built the foundation brick by brick. The irony is that the less desperate you are for results, the faster and more sustainably they appear. Make the work your mission. Make improvement your obsession. Let results take care of themselves. Because when the process is mastered, outcomes are no longer a question, they are a consequence. Mastering the process eliminates fear and doubt because fear thrives in uncertainty, and uncertainty disappears when you know exactly what you are doing every day. Most fear is not caused by failure itself, but by confusion. Confusion about direction, about effort, about whether you are doing enough or doing the right things. When the process is unclear, the mind fills the gap with worry. But when the process is mastered, the mind becomes calm and focused. Doubt enters when you rely on outcomes for reassurance. You start questioning yourself when results are slow or inconsistent. But the process does not lie. If you know you followed your routine, executed your plan, and honored your standards, doubt loses its voice. You may not know when results will appear, but you know you are earning them. That certainty is powerful. Mastering the process creates emotional stability. You stop riding the highs of success and the lows of setbacks. Instead, you develop a steady rhythm of execution. This rhythm becomes your anchor. No matter what happens externally, internally, you remain grounded. Fear cannot survive in a disciplined system because systems replace emotion with structure. When you understand the process deeply, you stop overthinking. You don't waste energy wondering what to do next. You don't freeze under pressure. You simply execute. This is why professionals look calm in moments that overwhelm others. It's not because they lack fear. It's because they trust their process more than their emotions. Fear often comes from belief that one mistake will ruin everything. But when the process is mastered, you realize mistakes are built into growth. You expect them. You adjust and continue. The process gives you permission to fail forward instead of freezing in place. Doubt fades because perfection is no longer the standard. Progress is. Another source of fear is inconsistency. When effort is random, confidence is unstable. One good day makes you hopeful, one bad day makes you question everything. Mastering the process removes randomness. You know what tomorrow requires, regardless of yesterday's outcome. That consistency builds quiet confidence, and quiet confidence is far stronger than loud motivation. The process also protects you from external noise. Opinions, criticism, and praise lose their power when your focus is internal. You no longer seek validation because your validation comes from execution. You measure success by effort, not reaction. This independence frees you from fear of judgment, which holds so many people back. As mastery grows, trust grows. You trust your preparation. You trust your habits. You trust your ability to show up. This trust becomes courage, not loud, dramatic courage, but steady courage. The kind that allows you to keep going even when progress is slow. Recognition is absent, and challenges are constant. Doubt disappears when action becomes automatic. When the process is second nature, hesitation fades. You don't ask if you should act. You act because that's who you've trained yourself to be. Fear loses its grip when action replaces analysis. Momentum replaces anxiety. In the end, mastering the process doesn't remove challenges. It removes paralysis. You still face obstacles, but you face them with clarity instead of chaos. Fear no longer controls your decisions. Doubt no longer delays your progress. The process becomes your shield, your guide, and your proof that you are moving forward, one disciplined step at a time. Consistency beats motivation every single time because motivation is emotional, temporary, and unpredictable, while consistency is intentional, stable, and dependable. Motivation comes and goes like the weather. Some days you feel unstoppable and some days you feel nothing at all. If your progress depends on how you feel, then your results will always be unstable. Consistency removes feeling from the equation and replaces it with commitment. Motivation is often sparked by inspiration, but inspiration fades quickly. It doesn't survive routine, boredom, or difficulty. Consistency, however, is built through decision. It is the decision to show up whether you feel excited or exhausted, confident or uncertain. This decision creates reliability, and reliability is the foundation of long-term success. When people rely on motivation, they wait. They wait to feel ready, confident, or inspired. that waiting costs time and time is the most valuable resource. Consistent people don't wait, they act. They understand that action creates motivation, not the other way around. Once you begin, energy follows. Once you move, momentum appears. Consistency creates trust with yourself. Every time you do what you said you would do, you strengthen self-belief. Every time you skip because you didn't feel like it, you weaken it. Over time, this trust compounds. You stop doubting your ability to follow through because history proves that you will. That confidence cannot be faked or borrowed. It must be earned. Motivation encourages intensity, but consistency encourages longevity. Anyone can work hard for a week. Few can work steadily for years. Success rarely belongs to the most intense. It belongs to the most persistent. Consistency allows growth without burnout. It teaches pacing, patience, and respect for the process. Consistency also simplifies decision-making. When you have a routine, there is no debate. You don't ask yourself if you should work. You already decided. This removes mental fatigue and frees energy for execution. Motivation requires constant convincing. Consistency requires no convincing at all. Another powerful advantage of consistency is progress during unremarkable days. Most days are ordinary. They don't feel special. Motivation skips these days. Consist. NCY owns them. And those ordinary days stacked together create extraordinary results. This is where most people fall behind, not on hard days, but on normal ones. Consistency builds resilience. When setbacks occur, consistent people don't collapse. They adjust and continue. Because their identity is tied to action, not outcome. A bad result doesn't stop them. A bad mood doesn't stop them. A bad day doesn't stop them. This resilience is what separates professionals from amateurs. Motivation focuses on starting. Consistency focuses on continuing. Starting is exciting. Continuing is powerful. The world is full of starters. It rewards finishers. Consistency turns beginnings into achievements. In the long run, consistency shapes character. It transforms effort into habit and habit into identity. You no longer see yourself as someone trying to succeed. You see yourself as someone who shows up. And when showing up becomes who you are, success becomes a matter of time, not chance. Growth happens when focus replaces frustration, because frustration is the product of scattered attention and unmet expectations, while focus is the discipline of directing your energy toward what truly matters. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because their attention is divided. They try to do too much, compare too often, and react to everything. This constant distraction creates frustration, and frustration drains the energy needed for growth. Frustration usually appears when progress doesn't match expectation. You believe things should move faster, feel easier, or look better by now. When they don't, irritation takes over. Focus dissolves this tension. Focus says, do the next right thing. It pulls you out of emotional reaction and places you back into intentional action. When focus becomes your priority, frustration loses its grip. A focused mind measures progress. Assess differently. Instead of asking, why am I not there yet? It asks, what can I improve today? That question shifts power back into your hands. Growth thrives on clarity. When your attention is narrow and deliberate, improvement becomes inevitable. Even small focused adjustments compound into significant progress over time. Frustration feeds on comparison. You look at others and feel behind. You measure your chapter 1 against someone else's chapter 10. Focus breaks this habit. When you are deeply engaged in your own work, other people's paths lose relevance. Your world becomes smaller but stronger. You stop leaking energy into things you cannot control and invest it fully into what you can. Focus also builds patience. When you concentrate on the task at hand, time stops feeling like an enemy. You become absorbed in the work rather than obsessed with the clock. This patience is not passive, it's productive. It allows learning to take root, skills to sharpen, and confidence to grow naturally. One of the greatest sources of frustration is reacting instead of creating. When you react, you surrender control. When you focus, you reclaim it. Focused individuals choose response over reaction. They don't allow every obstacle, comment, or setback to dictate their emotional state. This emotional discipline creates mental strength, and mental strength fuels growth. Focus simplifies complexity. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable when broken down into clear actions. Frustration thrives in chaos. Focus thrives in structure. By directing attention to one priority at a time, you reduce stress and increase effectiveness. Progress accelerates not because you're doing more, but because you're doing what matters most. Growth also requires depth, and depth demands focus. Surface-level effort produces surface-level results. When you commit fully to improvement, distractions fall away. You begin to notice details others miss. You refine instead of rushing. This depth of engagement is where real mastery is formed. When focus replaces frustration, your mindset shifts from resistance to responsibility. You stop blaming circumstances and start adjusting behavior. You accept that growth is not always comfortable, but it is always available to those willing to concentrate and commit. In the end, frustration is a signal, not a sentence. It signals scattered energy and misplaced attention. Focus is the solution. When you choose focus daily, growth becomes steady, confidence becomes natural, and progress becomes unavoidable. Work ethic creates confidence, not outcomes, because confidence is not something you receive after success. It is something you build through effort. Many people believe they will feel confident once they achieve results, once they are recognized, or once they are validated. But waiting for outcomes to feel confident places your self-belief outside your control. True confidence is internal, and it is earned through consistent, disciplined work. When you put in the work daily, you develop a quiet certainty. You may not see immediate progress, but you know you are doing what is required. That knowledge becomes strength. Confidence grows from knowing you showed up when it was uncomfortable, when it was boring, and when no one was watching. This type of confidence does not need proof. It already has it in the form of effort. Outcomes are unstable. They rise and fall based on timing, circumstance, and factors beyond your control. If your confidence depends on outcomes, it will always be fragile. One setback can destroy it. One failure can shake your identity. Work ethic, however, is reliable. It is something you can control every day. When your confidence is built on work ethic, it becomes unbreakable. Work ethic teaches self-respect. Each time you honor your commitments, you reinforce the belief that you can trust yourself. Self-trust is the foundation of confidence. Without it, no amount of praise or success will ever feel secure. With it, even challenges feel manageable. Another powerful effect of work ethic is preparedness. When you work consistently, you reduce fear. You are not guessing, you are ready. Preparedness eliminates anxiety because you know you have done your part. This readiness shows in how you speak, how you act, and how you carry yourself. Confidence becomes visible, not forced. People often confuse confidence with arrogance. Arrogance comes from ego and insecurity. Confidence comes from competence. Competence is built through repetition, effort, and persistence. Work ethic develops skill, and skill produces assurance. You don't need to announce confidence, it is felt. Work ethic also builds resilience. When you are used to effort, setbacks don't intimidate you. You know you can work your way forward. This belief creates courage. You stop fearing difficulty because difficulty has become familiar territory. Confidence grows not because the path is easy, but because you know you can handle what comes. Relying on outcomes creates emotional instability. A good result makes you feel powerful. A bad result makes you feel small. Work ethic stabilizes emotion. You remain grounded regardless of external events. This emotional control is a form of confidence that cannot be shaken by opinion or circumstance. Over time, work ethic reshapes identity. You stop defining yourself by wins and losses and start defining yourself by effort and integrity. This identity shift is liberating. You no longer need constant reassurance. You know who you are because your actions prove it daily. In the end, confidence is not a reward. It is a byproduct of commitment. The more you work, the more you believe. The more you believe, the more capable you become. Build your confidence where it belongs, not in outcomes, but in the work itself.